What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be rebuilding Liverpool using Youth to Gold. Now, what exactly is Youth to Gold? Basically, what we're going to be doing is rebuilding Liverpool from the ground up, utilizing player signings, that are only 19 years of age and younger. Sometimes with smaller leagues and smaller clubs, you can stretch it to maybe 20, 21 years old. And now, one extra challenge that presents itself by doing Liverpool, not only are we going to have that 19-year-old age cap, and once they turn 20, we can no longer sign them, but you have a limit on how many players you can bring in that I believe are either under the age of 20 to 21 years old, and that cap is 5 to 6 players a season. So we're not going to be able to go out and basically bring in an army, but if I do it a smart way and make sure that we're loaning out these players, we will have a loan army for sure for development and whatnot. Now, my ultimate goal within this rebuild is to make sure that this video does not end until we win the Champions League with a Youth to Gold approach with Liverpool. Also, we will be using one of my tactics, the 4-2-3-1 Power of the Orange. We will basically have the exact same team going into Season 1. I will be making a few signings, which we will see here in a moment. But another thing that I wanted to make sure that we had, that was that Mr. Arne Slot was going to be the manager still, so I brought him on as the assistant manager. You can see that I have the in-game editor up here. That's how I was able to do it. Hopefully I'm able to hang on to him the whole time because he is a very good manager, so I hope he doesn't leave for like the Dutch national team or something. So I guess now without further ado, let's go ahead and get into what signings we made for season number 1. And to kick things off, we went with Mr. Joe Bellingham. We brought him in from Sunderland. He's more so a project player. I want to see what I can turn him into. Been watching him recently within the Sky Bet Championship while he's been playing at Sunderland. Very good youngster, and I hope that we are going to be able to turn him into something here at Liverpool. If not, we can definitely make some money off of him in the future. Then the next player that I ended up bringing in was basically one of the key pieces in the future of our backline, Mr. Jarell Hato from Ajax. I hope once Virgil van Dijk does end up leaving us, because I'm not going to basically force players out. It's once they want to go or feel need to go, then that's when we're going to sell them. This is definitely going to be one of those players that can step up and replace him. And speaking of players that can step up and replace others, once we lose Mr. Mo Salah on that right wing, we're definitely going to need a right winger or just someone that can play on either wing. And so Rooney Bargi is that man. We are bringing him in from FC Copenhagen, but as you can tell, we loaned him back out to FC Copenhagen. Same thing with that Same thing with the Joe Bellingham signing. We ended up loaning him back to Sunderland. And keeping along the theme of replacing players once they do eventually go, we are bringing in a goalkeeper by the name of Dennis Simon, I believe is how you say it. Very, very solid wonder kid, 19 years of age. Brought him in from VfB Stuttgart, but we're loaning him out to VfL Osnabrück. I had to use one of the ESC spots, as we can see up here, which basically that is what you got to do when they don't get a work permit. And so I loaned him out, and hopefully that playing time, the first team playing time, playing in the Dry Bundesliga, that third tier in Germany, will help him get what he needs to be able to get a work permit. And hopefully he can continue this development, because I mean, as we can see right here, he is flying right now. Next up, we've got another project player, loaned him out as well, even though we brought him in from SL Benfica. Brought in Mr. João Rego. Loaned him out to Preston North End. Hopefully he can become a player that we can either make some money on in the future or potentially a star player for us. Next up, we've got one of everyone's favorite wonder kids, and once again a player that definitely gonna take some time to develop, Mr. Sanu Draugo, who we brought in from FC Schalke. We ended up loading him out to Coventry City, which is a very fun team to watch, by the way, and manage within Football Manager. Definitely recommend you do so. But he is going to be joining that fun side in the championship, and hopefully he can get some development and hopefully help them potentially get promoted to the Premier League. And then our last signing, like I said previously, we can bring in 5 to 6 players that are under the age of 2021, and it is Mr. Sverre Holset Nijpen. He is one of the best wonder kids within the world right now, and we brought him in from Rosenborg for very cheap. I believe it was like £4 million. As we can see, his value is already 34 to 42 million pounds. We loaned him back out to Rosenborg so that he can kind of finish up the season there, and then he will join us shortly after that. Now, out of all those signings, Mr. Joel Hato is going to be the only player that will be with us here this first season, so he's going to be the only signing that can have any sort of impact in our first season towards Youth to Gold. And speaking of that, we're going to go ahead, simulate the first season, see how things shake out. Alright, so season 1 done and dusted. How did we do? We ended up winning the Premier League by 8 points. We finished on 90 points, scored 112 goals, only lost 4 matches, which 2 of those, 3 of those, honestly, I feel are very winnable games. Unfortunately, we fell short. That Arsenal game was very, very close, but we did well otherwise, which led to us winning the Premier League. However, in the other competitions, we did not do too hot. We got knocked down in the round of 16 of the Champions League, quarterfinal of the FA Cup, and the 4th round of the Carabao Cup, both of those to Manchester City. However, there was one pretty good bonus to this first season, being that it was kind of the same squad going in, plus Joel Hato. We ended up beating Manchester United in every single match that we played against them, which none was bigger than our 6-2 victory at Anfield, which saw Darwin Núñez have a brace. And now there are 2 things that I want to highlight from those players that were out on loan that we did end up signing but just weren't at the club. We want to make sure that they were getting some development in this first season. The first player being Rooney Bargi. In the Champions League, he was the runner-up for the most player of the matches. He was absolutely fantastic for FC Copenhagen. And when looking at his development and his attributes already, he looks like he's going to be one heck of a player. And now the other was Mr. Dennis Simon. Now, with Dennis Simon, like I said, I wanted him to develop. That's not the main thing that I want to hit on here, though. Like I said, needed him to do well at VfL Osnabrück to where he was getting plenty of playing time and able to earn that work permit. He does go on to earn that work permit, and one reason as to why is because he played 36 games for them and helped them win the league once I can get to it. There we go. They won the league on 70 points. He helped them do absolutely fantastic, and I am honestly thinking about loaning him back out to them, seeing what he can do in these Zwei Bundesliga and Bundesliga 2, seeing if he can help them potentially go back to back, which would be pretty cool, and that would definitely help with his development. But speaking of things with Season 2, we're going to go ahead, fast forward to Season 2, see what signings and sales we end up making. So, sale-wise for Season 2, there are 2 major sales from the side that is definitely going to help kickstart the replacement era here at Liverpool, which we will get to those 2 in a moment, because the first player that we ended up selling was 23-year-old Tyler Morton. We sold him to Sporting. But the other 2 players we ended up selling to the same club in the same league. One was Mr. Mo Salah. We ended up selling him to Al Ahly for a pretty hefty price as well. So we got pretty good money for the 34-year-old. And then the other was Mr. Virgil van Dijk, also to Al Ahly. We ended up getting a combined total of over £70 million for him. Would I have liked more? Most definitely. But being that Mo was 34, Virgil was 35, it was going to kind of be hard to get upwards of £100 million for him. But we had that £100 million onto like the 120 something that I already had. We had a haul of money to go spend to bring in some of the best youngsters in the world. However, the first was another project kid, Mr. Chris Rigg, who, once again, coming from Sunderland, just like Joe Bellingham, young English wonder kid who I think could go on to be a pretty solid player, and if not, once again, we can move him on for some money. Next up, we went to South America, to River Plate actually, and we went and got Franco Mestentuono, who I think is absolutely fantastic. Ignore all these down arrows, game doesn't know what it's talking about. This player is absolutely fantastic when you can get him to develop. I mean, these are his starting attributes at 19 years of age. He is absolutely unbelievable. We have him loaned out to Girona. Like I said, if I can make signings and kind of create like a loan army to where we're getting development from the players, we're definitely going to do that. Next up, we actually have our first new gen, and you will notice with some of these new gens that they have faces like Mr. Giorgos Alexandru, but some of them have the kind of pacey looking ones as well. It's because of a face pack from another save that I've been doing. But we ended up bringing in the 16-year-old from Coventry to be one of our future left backs here once Mr. Andy Robertson ends up leaving us. Hopefully that's no time soon, because I absolutely love Robbo. So Mr. Giorgos, there we go, Alexandru, bringing him in from Coventry. Then our next three signings, we go to La Liga to bring these three youngsters in. The first being Mr. Pau Cubarsí from FC Barcelona. We ended up loaning him out to Las Palmas, so hopefully he can get some development and come back and be one of our future stars in the back line. And then the next two are absolute coups, because I could not believe that I pulled off both of these within the same transfer window. The first of which being our next star up top, Endrick from Real Madrid for £52 million. And then I went and spent the mother load on this next player, and that is Mr. Lamine Yamal for £91 million from Barcelona. So we have two of the best wonder kids within the world of football now at Liverpool for Youth to Gold. This is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of fun. So going into season 2, we're in every major competition. We're in the Champions League, obviously all the domestic competitions for England, and we have already gone and won the Community Shield because we won the league previously. Now, I will say with this side, I think we're about to experience some growing pains, and I'm hoping that we can win the Champions League by season 5. That is best case scenario. If it's not by season 5, I think it's going to be like season 7, season 8 that we will be winning the Champions League once everyone's kind of fully developed. We'll see how it goes, but I'm hoping for that Champions League win by the end of season 5. Probably going to go through some growing pains, losing two of our most important players this year in Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk. But being that we're getting younger, other players are going to start getting some opportunities. And one of those players is going to be 23-year-old Harvey Elliott. He graces the cover of today's video for this Youth Gold rebuild, and I want to make him a focal point of the side. He's going to mainly be playing as our number 10, I have a feeling, within this 4-2-3-1 Power of the Orange setup, so hopefully we can get some good production out of him. But now, with that being said, let's go ahead, simulate Season 2, and see how we get on. So, Season 2 has come and gone, and all I can say is we definitely outperformed what I thought we would do. So, basically just gonna show it all to you off the rip. We ended up finishing 4th within the league, which I expected us to drop off a little bit within the league. We were runners-up in the Champions League already, so we might really be onto something with the players that we were bringing in, because Rooney Bargi did get some playing time this year, so did Lamine Yamal, Endrick, Joel Hato. We have Harvey Elliott doing what he can do. As we can see down here, he led the way in assists within the Premier League. We got knocked down in the 5th round of the FA Cup, but we won the Carabao Cup. So we ended up winning the Community Shield as well as the Carabao Cup in Season 2 and got all the way to the Champions League final, which we were runners-up by a goal to Tottenham of all teams. That is... wow. Okay, so Tottenham won the Champions League and Arsenal won the Prem. This is an amazing world of Football Manager. When it comes to how all of our signings have done so far, we're definitely going to need to get certain players some games, lock them in like we have been locking in Harvey Elliott for this season. So Mr. Rooney Bargi, he played the most out of everyone aside from Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott played 58 games, 14 goals, 10 assists. Mr. Rooney Bargi, 45 starts, 11 appearances off the bench, 9 and 7. Hato, though, playing a boatload. That is what we wanted to see once Virgil van Dijk left. And then we have got Mr. Lamine Yamal and Endrick all the way down here. So we're definitely going to need to lock them in to get them some more playing time going forward, as well as offload some of the other players. And now for a little loan recap really quickly. Franco Mastantuono did pretty solid while at Girona, a little bit of development there. Sfera Hulse at Nightpen did fantastic while at Sheffield United. He had a goal and 8 assists in the championship, so major development there from him. Pau Kubarsi did fairly solid, I would say, at Las Palmas, and he is definitely going to be able to come back and potentially slot into our starting 11 right away, depending on sales. And then Mr. Dennis Simon did absolutely fantastic once again at VfL Osnabrück, developing very well. And he once again helped them get promoted, and this time to the Bundesliga. They ended up finishing in second on goal difference by a goal. So he has definitely been a major factor in them way outperforming what they should be doing. So, in other words, hopefully it can help do that for us once we eventually end up letting Allison go. Alright, so there's season 2. Let's go ahead and go on to season 3. So, just like season 2, we had some major outgoings. One was absolutely massive money-wise as well. One of the first sales we had was Mr. Kelleher. We ended up selling him to Al Shabab. Unfortunately, Mr. Andy Robertson ended up leaving us. He is going to Al Hilal. We then sold 25-year-old Mr. Ryan Gravenberch to Real Madrid because he ended up wanting to leave. And then here was the big sale, 30-year-old Mr. Luis Diaz for what will eventually be £110 million to Al Ahly, so he'll be joining Mr. Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk. So when it came to signings, we had a lot, and I mean a lot, of money to work with, and I did it in a very interesting way. So we're only going to have 3 players coming in off the rip. However, we're going to have a multitude of other players coming in at different times due to their age only being 17 and due to their birthdays all being at different times. We were able to sign more than the normal 6 players. So one of the first signings was English wonder kid Daniel Pitchford. We brought him in from Wolves, but we're loaning him out to Red Star in France. Then we went and found a Brazilian wonder kid who I think is going to probably end up being one of my favorite wonder kids based on how his attributes look already, and he can play as a striker, right wing, or as a 10. Mr. Mateus Gimente. We brought him in from Atletico Mineiro. We loaned him out to Le Havre, France. You need to work on your names. They are very challenging. But we loaned him out to a club in France. And then I ended up finding probably one of the best bargains I will ever find. I believe it was for 775,000 or maybe 675,000 pounds. I went to Bolivia at a club called The Strongest and found Ronald Gutierrez, and we snapped him up before Arsenal could get him. And based on his potential and attributes at just 18 years of age, this kid is going to be pretty solid, I have a feeling. But like I said, we were able to sign more than the normal 6. So those are the 3 that have arrived now. And then there are going to be 6 arriving throughout different parts of the season, as well as starting next season. One of those being a right back from Japan, Mr. Kazunari Takeyanagi, who I think is going to be a pretty solid player eventually. Then we have got another young Brazilian wonder kid, Mr. Wilson from Flamengo. He is a center back who I'm hoping is going to become fairly solid. We then have a defensive midfielder, central midfielder by the name of Dononi from Palmeiras in Brazil. Another Brazilian wonder kid from Atletico Mineiro, and Mr. Cássio Fernando, who is a left winger. A striker who can also play as a 10 from Barcelona, Mr. Armand Lozano. And then we have got Timothy Ane, which is a very interesting transfer because, like I said, we were able to sign more than we usually do. 9 players due to their ages and birthdays. This was the last signing that I made. So hopefully, it says he's joining us. Hopefully, all of these go through, we get everyone, everything's all honky-dory. Because if all of them don't go through and it's due to that restriction of only signing 6 players, and there's a couple that come through all at one time, he might be the odd man out. So hopefully, being that it says he's joining us on 9/6/2027, hopefully it goes through. I am hoping that is the case. But going into Season 3, once again, we will be locking in Mr. Harvey Elliott as the number 10. I'm thinking of locking in Endrick, Rini Barty, Lamine Yamal potentially as well, maybe João Hato, and trying to get them more playing time, more development and whatnot. But Harvey Elliott did absolutely fantastic last season, so we are definitely locking him in once again, hopefully he can come up big for us within all of the competitions we will be participating in. Speaking of competitions, we will be in all the domestic competitions as well as the Champions League once again. The only competition we're not in, Community Shield, because we did not win the league or the FA Cup. We ended up winning the Carabao Cup last season. But now, let's go ahead and simulate Season 3 and see how we do. Alright, so here we are, Season 4. How did we do? We did not win anything. So with the departures continuing from some of our best players, the growing pains are continuing. But as we can see, the youngsters are starting to play. Endrick led the way within the Prem, Rooney Bargy with assists, Rooney Bargy and Lamine Yamal goal-wise in the Champions League, Harvey Elliott led the way in assists. So they're definitely playing, and hopefully they're growing. But as we can see, Tottenham won their first Premier League on 101 points after only losing one game, which was to Brighton. So Brighton kept them from doing better than the Invincibles, that's just wow. They could have done it. They almost did it. But in Tottenham fashion, they didn't. But hey, y'all finally won a Premier League, so there's that. Now, I wanted to take a quick peek at how the squad kind of played a majority of the time, and due to the chemistry lines, this is kind of what I came up with. This is what we were doing a majority of the time. And I mean, Endrick, he ended up playing 51 games, Bargy 43, Lamal played 55, and Elliott played 52. So they all basically played every single game possible. I'm guessing Harvey Elliott got a knock at some point. Bargy definitely did if he only played 43, unless they were playing Jota, although it looks like Jota had 40 appearances off the bench. Still scored 6 goals. Cody Gakpo still contributing with 10 goals and only 15 starts. So we did pretty well. Endrick leading the way in goals with 26 goals. So we're looking solid. Now, when it comes to the loan report here, there are a couple players I want to highlight that did pretty decent and also did some growing. The first being Mateus Jimente. He did pretty well while over in France, scoring 10 goals. Now, loaned out Asanu Drago basically every season so far. Last season was Sheffield United, this season was Portsmouth, and he did a lot of growing this time around, as well as contributing with 12 goals. Sverre Holset-Nypen once again out on loan, this time to Fulham, and contributing with 6 assists within the championship. And then Mr. Franco Mastantuono loaned him out once again, also to Portsmouth. He had 5 goals, 3 assists within the championship, at 6 goals, 4 assists overall, and he is shaping up to be a solid player. But now that we've gone over Season 3, let's go ahead and jump in to Season number 4. So, really quickly before we do get into the sales and signings with Season 4, Timothy Anna, that one that was coming from PSG, the left back. I was right in that it wasn't going to let him go through, unfortunately, so we ended up losing out on him. And I'm kind of grateful for it, because now he is graded as a D, and he also was bought by Sporting. So he will be at Sporting for the foreseeable future, unless this scout report changes with me doing continuous scouting on him. However, there's a different left back I have my eye on now, and it is this man, Donovan Ritter from PSG once again. So hopefully we're going to be able to bring him in, because at 5'11", if he has pretty good acceleration, I mean, that type of jumping reach at 5'11", well, 17, incredible marking and passing, potential tackling as well. This is definitely someone that I would much rather have. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the sales, and there really is only one sale that we need to cover, and it was a big one money-wise. And that was Mr. Darwin Nunez taking the money and running to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. We made 107 million off of him, so definitely going to be taking that money. Now that leads us to the signings. Once again, we have quite a bit of money to utilize, and we went and got a player from a big time club as well. So with having that 107 million added on to what was already a war chest to utilize, I ended up bringing in some more youngsters, and one of them from a big time club. We went to Inter Milan and took one of their star wonder kids coming up in that back line, Mr. Andrea Marcucci. a center back who's 6'2" and looks to have everything that I want in a center back, especially that marking, tackling, and a high work rate with good strength as well, good with both feet. And we loaned him out to Watford, so hopefully he continues his development, as we can see he already is. We then went to FC Copenhagen once again, and we brought in Bjorn Andersen, who is a very versatile player along the back line, can also play left wing back and defensive midfield. We went to VfB Stuttgart and got one of their wonder kids, Mr. Mehmet Orhan. We loaned him out to Paris FC. And hopefully, from the looks of things, with how he can play left back, left wing back, defensive midfield, central midfield, he can be a very good two-way player for us. That's what I'm hoping for, at least once he is kind of fully developed. Then went to Besiktas and got a Turkish wonder kid by the name of Adem Erden. We loaned him out to Levante though, and I am hoping, once again, very solid playmaker, very high determination, great work rate, hoping that he can become a player. But my favorite signing was a goalkeeper. We got another goalkeeper because I know Dennis Simon. He's been fantastic. He helped VfL Osnabrück to back-to-back promotions, played 16 games last season behind Allison, but I want another goalkeeper, and I could not pass up bringing in who I think potentially is going to be the best goalkeeper in the world once he hits his max potential, max ability, Mr. Mats van Kesteren from Vitesse, young Belgian, 6'3", looks to be absolutely phenomenal already. Great with both feet as well. You don't find that every day in a goalkeeper. So hopefully he can develop into one of the best of the best. And we have our new Allison, just the Belgian version. So going into this season, where are we sitting? We're sitting pretty with a bunch of good youngsters. We have a lone army going, and we're once again going to be locking in Harvey Elliott at that number 10. Probably going to be doing all we can to get Endrick, Lamine Yamal, and Rooney Bargi as many games as possible as well. Harvey Elliott is going to start the season injured, though. He's out 6 days to 2 weeks, so nothing too bad. But hopefully we can potentially win a trophy this season. That'd be nice to do so. After all, like I said, best case scenario next season's when we win the Champions League. So we'll see what we can do here in season 4. Let's go ahead and get it simulated. Alright, so season 4 done and dusted. What did we end up doing? We didn't win anything. Unfortunately, we got to the Carabao Cup semifinal. That's nice. Knocked out in round of 16 by Bayern Munich, who are very, very good. And then we finished third within the league because Man City's back on top. I will say, out of these 4 seasons, it's nice that there has been a different winner each season. So it's not just one team dominating the whole time. That is nice to see. We are getting there, slowly but surely, because we were finishing 4th. Now we're up to 3rd. We got to a semifinal again. It's basically, we just got to let these kids keep on developing. And maybe a tactical change is in the near future. We'll see how it goes next season. Like I said, hopefully next season is when we win the Champions League. That is best case scenario. Now looking at most games played this season, we have Lamine Yamal leading the way with 56, Bargi 51, McAllister and Gomez, as well as Kanate and Hato, all putting in some work. Allison with 40 games. But Mr. Harvey Elliott must have had some major injuries to where he only played 40 games total, but he still had 6 goals and 5 assists. However, Rooney Bargi, absolutely fantastic, 23 goals, 10 assists. Lamine Yamal, 18 and 15. So these two are definitely getting up there and best in the world. I mean, yeah, Lamine Yamal rated as world class right now. Rooney Bargi, world class as well. Makes sense to me that they are, being that they are doing so well. And Alexis McAllister, pretty sure he's been playing that ball-winning midfielder role. He is a playmaking ball-winning midfielder, so that makes him pretty overpowered, and he had 14 goals, 5 assists at 30 years of age. Hopefully we don't lose him anytime soon because I really like McAllister. So hopefully we can keep him at least until the end of next season. Now, Lone Army-wise, there's 3 players that I want to end up highlighting that are most likely going to be stepping into the first team. Everyone that we had loaned out earlier that we talked about that I brought in signing wise, they're all definitely going to be going out on loan again. But the first player being Mr. Sverahal Seth Nijpen, at Fulham, did very well. 6 goals, 12 assists in the championship. Hopefully he really kind of steps up to that next level once we start playing him within the first team, because he was at Fulham for back-to-back seasons. Did very, very well this season, definitely better than the first one. After him, we've got Hassan Ouedraogo. We loaned him out to Rennes. He's been at a different club each season, which is unfortunate. But 6 goals, 4 assists. Hopefully he can, it says, improve significantly. Hopefully he can bring something to the table for us. And then we've got our Argentinian wonder kid, Mr. Franco Mastantuono, who is on loan at FC Lorient. Looking absolutely fantastic. 5 goals, 3 assists in League A. They were probably playing him as a 10 or off the wings. Hopefully he can be a pretty good backup, there we go, to Harvey Elliott. So there we have season 4. Let's go ahead, get on to season 5, see what we can do not only transfer wise but also competitively as well. All right, so sales, a lot went on. I mean, a lot. So we're going to look very different this season. The first sale was Cody Gakpo to Newcastle for 45 million. We then lost Thiago Jota on a free to Al Ahly, as well as Ibrahim Konate, also on a free to Al Ahly. They have basically become the Liverpool of Saudi Arabia at this point, being that they're bringing in all of our players. And remember how I said I wish we got Alexis McAllister until the end of this season that we're about to have? We ended up losing him for £103 million to Al Hilal, which is a definite bummer, so he joins Mr. Darwin Nunez there. We then also sold Mr. Curtis Jones, sold him to Newcastle United as well. And then this one really, really annoyed me. Alisson wanted to leave, and he would not stop throwing a hissy fit unless he got to go to Arsenal. So, Alisson is now at Arsenal. A team that we definitely need to find a way to beat, and by them adding Alisson, who at 36 is still one of the best goalkeepers in the world, it's going to be pretty difficult. But thanks to all that money we brought in, we went and got some big-time talented wonder kids. One of them we ended up actually taking from Chelsea of all clubs. So Arsenal get Alisson, we take Chelsea's best wonder kid. We definitely paid a lot of money to get him, though. 110 million pounds up front. It's going to be around 150 something million, I think, when it's all done and dusted. But this center back, can also play right back, looks absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely amazing. A 6'3", 19-year-old Irish center back with these type of physicals is unbelievable. And he's valued at 293 to 343 million pounds. That's insane. I then found another Argentinian wonder kid, this time at Racing Club for 5 million pounds. We ended up bringing in Sergio Palermo, loaning him out to Burnley for the season. And being that the Saudi clubs have been yapping a lot of our very good players, we went and got one of their wonder kids who started at Al Faya, then transferred to Porto, and we got him from Porto for 60 million. Mr. Saeed Al Jawai, I believe is how you say it. He looks to be very, very good. Very solid mentals at 19 years of age as well. Then went to Serbia at Red Star, and we brought in a Serbian wonder kid by the name of Dejan Gavrovic, who we have loaned back to Red Star, and hopefully he can be a very solid option in midfield eventually. I then went to Hoffenheim, who are pretty good at producing wonder kids, and we got a right winger who can also play up top by the name of Pierre Nag. Hopefully he can do something good for us in the future, and we've loaned him back to Hoffenheim for more playing time. Then went and got Justo Hoyos from Boca Juniors, another Argentinian wonder kid. He is a goalkeeper. We have loaned him out to West Bromwich Albion. So hopefully we eventually have one of, if not two of, the best goalkeepers in the world here at Liverpool. Because honestly, at the end of the day, one of them's got to get the job done for us. We then went back to Barcelona and got Armand Lozano, who I am hoping is going to be very, very good for us. Very good. Because when you look at his attributes, he looks fantastic. Which I just realized, now looking at who I just said, Armand Lozano, we signed him already, and I think the same thing happened to him that happened to that left back at PSG. So that is a kink we're going to definitely have to figure out with the Prem going forward with our signings that we're making, because I brought him in for way less than 70 million pounds originally. So I'm glad we have him now, but that's a lot of money. And then our last signing this season, I am hoping, is the slightly shorter version of the next Robert Lewandowski, Mikuláš Kaminski, the 19-year-old Polish man. We brought him in from AC Milan. Probably going to end up loaning him out, though. And so, with all those transfers being done and us losing a whole bunch of players, this is our best 11 going into Season 5, the season that I think is the earliest we can win the Champions League. And with wingers like Lamine Yamal and Rooney Bargi, I definitely think they're going to be able to help make it possible. We still have Trent Alexander-Arnold, by the way. I have not played him as a right back this entire time. I have played him as a deep line playmaker, and he's been absolutely fantastic. Joe Hato, absolutely amazing. Kubarsi, developing well. Van Kesteren, he's definitely going to be able to show, I think, this season that he is going to be one of the best goalkeepers in the world, because he will be starting over Mr. Simon. Now, like I said, we will probably be loaning out some players like Kaminski, maybe a couple others. We shall see. But, I mean, overall, we look pretty good. We have a lot of new faces. We have very few original faces of the Liverpool squad. We've got Konsa here, Gomez, Soboslai, and Harvey Elliott, plus Trent and Connor Bradley, as well as Shimikas and Bajcetic. So, yes, there's still some element of the OG Liverpool players here, but I think by the end of things, we might only see one or two maybe. But this season, we're in all the normal competitions, as we can see here. Hopefully, this one right here, the Champions League, maybe we can bring it home this season already. It would be awesome if we could. But let's go ahead and see how things go within Season 5. Alright, so Season 5, come and gone. I've got one word: close. We were so close to being able to do it in Season 5. We finished 4th in the league because we were in it till the end in almost every competition. Finished 4th in the league, semi-final to Real Madrid. That's a big time bummer. They do have Mbappe because this is updated databases. Forgot to mention that, by the way. FA Cup, semi-final to Manchester United. Carabao Cup, quarterfinal to Tottenham. Who won the Carabao Cup? Man City. Gee, imagine that. FA Cup, who won that? Chelsea in extra time. And Champions League, Real Madrid, extra time over Inter Milan, with Chelsea winning the Premier League. So, we're very, very close. Very close. What I am thinking of doing, being that we obviously did not do it in Season 5, hopefully we can do it in Season 6, I am going to change the tactic. We're not going to do this 4-2-3-1. I think maybe switching to a 4-3-3 might help us get the best out of the team. It's not like we're doing bad, but I definitely want to start winning the Prem again at least. So we're going to switch to that 4-3-3 and see how things go within Season 6 probably. And speaking of Season 6, there's going to be about 5 players that are going to be introduced into the first team. I am hoping all of them end up making massive impacts because they have all really developed well. The first one being Mr. Adam Erden, the player that we brought him from Besiktas, loaned out to Levante last season, loaned him out to Mallorca this season, and he looks to be a good Premier League player already. Potential ability out the wazoo, great with both feet, so hopefully he can add something come Season 6. The next one is Mehmet Orhan. Remember how I said I hope he ends up being a good two-way player? He is developing and looking like he is going to be a good two-way player because he can play left back, left wing back, defense midfield, central midfield. He is 6'3" as well. Great work rate, decent-ish pace as well. So hopefully he can be a very good two-way player for us, and his potential once again out the wazoo. We then have Mr. Dejan Gavrovic, the Serbian wonder kid that I loaned back out to Red Star. He developed pretty well, gonna give him a shot. Then we have our potential future right back, Mr. Kazunari Takiyanagi. Loaned him out to Stoke last season, Marseille this season. Dude, took off development-wise. Looks to be a very solid player. And then we have probably the best bargain buy I've ever had within FM, Mr. Ronald Gutierrez. We ended up loaning him out to Sporting this season. He was playing in our U18s, U21s for a little bit. Loaned him out to Sporting this season. And wow, everything is just going up. He looks absolutely fantastic. So we're going to give him a shot as well. So let's go ahead, head over to Season 6, see what we do with bringing in players and potentially selling players as well. All right, so sale-wise, we had one major sale. Can you guess where this player went? They went to Saudi Arabia. Gee, imagine that. To Al Ali, once again, Mr. Dominic Soboslai, now joining basically our entire former Liverpool side that we started this rebuild with. So have fun making £750,000 a week, sir. Which, thanks to that money, it allowed us to bring in a couple more wonder kids, brought in 4 this time. We ended up going for a player that I've had my eye on for a while, Mr. Jose Manuel Freire, not sure how to say it. A young Spanish wonder kid from Villarreal, looking absolutely fantastic. He is 19. This was the last stage that I could bring him in. I was like, you know what? I really want to have this kid. So we ended up bagging him. Then another player that I've had my eye on for quite a while, Rivaldo. Brought him in from Sporting, young Brazilian wonder kid, loaned him out to FC Cologne this season. Once again, sticking with the theme of players I've had my eye on for a while, Donovan Ritter. We got the left back from PSG that I had mentioned that I would have much rather had instead. He looks to be absolutely fantastic. We have loaned him out to Bayer Leverkusen for the season, so hopefully that really helps him develop. And then I found probably one of the best gems I have found so far throughout this Youth to Gold rebuild. His name is Valentin Pages. Brought him in from Stade de Reims, I believe is how you say that club's name. Once again, France, you guys have some very challenging names. He looks to be amazing, especially mentally at 18 years of age. Absolutely wonderful wonder kid to have. Great with both feet as well. And we will be playing the 4-3-3. So with how his attributes are, I can see him playing as the advanced playmaker this season. If he's not playing as the advanced playmaker, maybe the deep line playmaker, but that's most likely going to be where Trent Alexander-Arnold plays. We have Mr. Harvey Elliott locked in at central midfield on attack. That is actually his best role as well. So we'll see what he can do there. But we will be rocking my 4-3-3 Mando 2.0, which is one of my best 4-3-3 tactics and best tactics this year so far. So hopefully this helps us get to where we want to be, or at least winning the Premier League again this season. Because like I said, worst case scenario, I think we win the Champions League either Season 7 or Season 8, which will see a lot of these players kind of hitting their max potential at that point, especially Bargy, Endrick, and Lamine Yamal. So, with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and get in to Season number 6 and see how things go. So, Season 6 is come and gone. And I'm happy because we finally won something again. We ended up winning the league. We won it on 86 points, so that tactical change definitely seemed to have helped. Yes, it was only by 3 points, but still, we won it nonetheless. I mean, we scored 30 more goals than Tottenham as well, but we conceded 3 more. That is insane that they were only 3 points behind. Tottenham, at least an FM, really knows how to build a team very, very well. But with all the other competitions, we ended up winning the FA Cup, so we did a double this season. Absolutely fantastic double to do as well. Carabao Cup, 4th round, knocked out by Chelsea. Champions League, knocked out in the playoff by AC Milan, unfortunately. So, definitely gonna have to do a Season 7, potentially Season 8. Hopefully, we see a lot of improvement from our players development-wise this season, which from the looks of things, it looks like a lot of players have taken a jump in their production, especially Harvey Elliott, central midfield, 15 goals, 13 assists. That's fantastic. Rooney Bargy down, though, 11 and 15. But like I said, Valentin Pages played that advanced playmaker on attack role, it looks like, as that is where he's slotted in right there. Then we have him doing 10 and 10. That's fantastic. Lamine Yamal, 29 goals, 15 assists. Endrick, 27 and 5. Matteo Cimente, 17 and 2. So we're doing well. And the Saudi Arabian wonder kid with 7 assists. That's awesome. So we're doing great development-wise. If I sort this by reports, what are we looking like? Wow. All right, we're building a super team here. We are building a super team, and when you look at the potential out the wazoo as well. We need to find a way to get Mr. Gutierrez some more games because he looks to be pretty good. So hopefully he can get some more games in the future. And Donnelly, that Irish center back, looking absolutely fantastic. And speaking of looking fantastic, we're going to cover some of those loans. One of the players that I said would step into the first team ended up actually loaning out again. That player was Mr. Mehmet Orhan. Loaned him out to Braga. He is now 100% ready to step into the first team. Pierre Nag, another player, ready to step into the first team. Loaned him out to Mallorca. Donovan Ritter, like I said, loaned him out to Bayer Leverkusen. He was at 2-star current ability, championship level. He is now a good Premier League player. So he will most likely be our left back next season, I am thinking, because I'm pretty sure Shamikas is leaving us. Which, yes, I am right. He is retiring. And there is one player that came through our youth intake that I've been developing this whole time as well. Mr. Kurt Graham, defensive midfielder, central midfielder. He's had some spells at Swindon Town, Sheffield United, as well as AS Monaco. He looks to be very good. Hopefully he can become very good and be a big-time player for us. Potentially in Season 7, we might loan him out again. We will see how things go. But looking at things, this is how we lined up this season because I slotted in everyone to see, based off of chemistry, who kind of played where. This seems to be our most common 11. And we look very, very good on paper. Hopefully we can do it in Season 7. Lucky number 7. Because this team definitely has everything they need to. So, I guess with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into potentially lucky season number 7. Alright, so sales-wise, we had 3 somewhat major outgoings. Number 1 was Mr. Stefan Bajcetic. We ended up selling him to Leicester City. Joe Gomez ended up leaving on a free to Fenerbahce. Then I ended up selling one of our youngsters for quite a bit of money. They offered $20.5 million for Justin Braze, so I was not turning that down. And that led us to having £129 million in the transfer budget. You'll notice I say that led us to having that amount. It has not changed. There is a reason for that. I have not brought in a single player. You can see here, no players brought in. Go back, no players brought in. Only players going out on free, sales, or loans. So, you're probably thinking Gormy's a madman. They didn't win the Champions League. They need another player to win the Champions League. I don't think I can find a player that is 19 and under that comes into this squad and immediately improves it, and you're about to see why. On paper, this is our best 11, in my opinion, especially when it comes to the ability of the players. This team looks absolutely fantastic. We have everything I think that we need to go on and win the Champions League this season. We won the Prem last season. We won the FA Cup last season as well. There's no reason we can't go on and not only repeat for the league, but win the Champions League with this group. I mean, we have Lamine Yamal, who is one of, if not the best players in the world, and he's 24 years of age, which means he can still get better. We see right here, he's still getting better in some areas. You then have Rooney Bargi, one of the best players within the league. You have Endrick, once again, one of the best players within the league. Harvey Elliott, Pages, Alexander-Arnold, a very young and good back line, and potentially the best goalkeeper in the world once everything is all said and done. He is looking absolutely fantastic, Mr. Mats van Kesteren. And just looking at it, I don't think I can find someone that can come in and replace any of them. And also, with looking at our depth, we have so many players that are good that could come off the bench and make big time impacts, like Mr. Kubarsi, very solid player who still isn't done growing. Connor Bradley, very good player. We have Mr. Gutierrez, once again, very good player who has the potential to be world class, by the way. That's the Bolivian wonder kid. So we've got talent, and hopefully we can help realize it this season. So after having said all that, we're going to go ahead, simulate season 7. After making no transfers, very ballsy call. After making no transfers, and we're going to see if we can win the Champions League. So, season 7 has been simulated. How did we do? We won the league again. We went back to back, doing absolutely fantastic. 98 points this time as well. We kind of ran away with it. We won the league by 20 points. So like I said, I trusted this side. No transfers. We were able to win the league back to back. That was one of the things that I wanted to do. The other thing I wanted to do was win the Champions League. Like I said, this video does not end until we win the Champions League. Thankfully, we got to the Champions League final. And thankfully, to our £150 million center back, Mr. Aaron Donnelly, he helped secure it with a 2-0 victory over FC Barcelona. That is insane that we won 2-0. Both goals coming from Mr. Aaron Donnelly. So basically, that game was worth £150 million right there because he scored both goals. And that means that we ended up having a double. We did not win the Community Shield, so that kind of worried me at first that, we didn't win the curtain raiser. Maybe it's going to be a slightly difficult season, but we ran away with the league, and we ended up winning the Champions League as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And we had some different players contributing big time as well. Looking over all the numbers, we have a new top goal scorer, Mateus Jimente, the Brazilian wonder kid that I highlighted a couple seasons ago. He led the way with 35 goals and 4 assists, but Lamine Yamal potentially having a Ballon d'Or type season with 32 goals and 19 assists, which I do know he did get snubbed last season for the Ballon d'Or, which was unfortunate. Rooney Bargi, 14-11, Endrick, 13-14, Harvey Elliott, 12-13, 25 goal contributions right there. Love seeing that. Doing amazing. The team did fantastic. We secured a Premier League again, as well as winning the Champions League. And after a complete overhaul of the side, this is the talent that is currently at the club. Ability-wise, absolutely insane. Potential-wise, absolutely incredible. There are very few players left from the original side, one being Mr. Harvey Elliott, another being Mr. Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Connor Bradley. Those are the only 3 remaining players. Tranioni also was here the entire time as well, which I hope they upgrade him for FM25. But those 3 players were here the entire time. Everyone else, completely new faces, completely new wonder kids coming through. Team is very, very young and has a boatload of potential still to go on and do great things, win more Champions Leagues, go on for quadruples, quintuples, win a FIFA Club World Cup maybe. Which, speaking of all that potential, you guys are going to be able to take over this save if you wish to do so. I'll be linking my Discord down below in the description. That is where you guys are going to be able to download this file from within the download section of the Discord. For those of you who are members, you will have it a day early. So just if you guys wish to become members, you guys will get stuff early like tactics, these files and whatnot as well. But with all that being said, and being that this has been a fairly longer video than I had planned for it to be, being that I was hoping we could do it in 5 seasons, we ended up doing it in 7. I hope you guys did enjoy. Please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button? I did plan on doing 2 rebuilds this week. Plans have changed from some doctor's appointments that I have had this week, so there's going to be a different video coming up probably on Sunday for you guys, so definitely make sure to keep an eye out for that because I need to talk to you guys about a couple things going forward. But like I said, if you have enjoyed, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.